Welcome to the Armageddon Championship Series 2023, the show which has more twists and turns than the most complicated Formula One track. I'm Grandmaster Simon Williams, and I'm here in the Berlin studio. I'm alongside my good friend, International Master Jovanka Houska.
Pleasure to be here, Simon. And you said it, twists and turns, because yesterday we were treated to a roller coaster day. First of all, Humpy Koneru powered through to the next stage, but it was in the action between Kosteniuk and Kashlinskaya that it all kicked off. Let's take a look at yesterday's highlights. Day 5 kicked off with Humpy Koneru playing with the white pieces against Elisabeth Paehtz. It might have started off quietly, but a dramatic time scramble in the final stages allowed Humpy to take control and seize the point. The second game was equally dramatic, with Elisabeth applying pressure, but a misstep allowed Humpy to win material and eventually win the game and the match.
The second match of the day saw Alina face off against Alexandra. The game started with Alina playing the French defence, a good counter-attacking opening. It was a close encounter with Alina coming victorious in the end. The second game was maybe the most interesting game of the whole tournament. It was going from two to side, Alina winning, Alexandra winning, but in the end, it was Alina who got the result and went through to the next round. Yeah, it was a great day of chess there. That last game was just edge of the seat stuff, and we expect more of the same today. More excitement, more fast action. Let's now just have a look at what other events have brought us.
Yes, because this is the Armageddon Championship Series 2023. It all kicked off in March with the Americas, and there it was Wesley So and Sam Shanklin that punched their tickets to the grand finale. And then in April, it was the Asia and Oceania, and there it was Nordibek Abdusatorov and Gukash that also won those coveted spots into the grand finale that will be taking place in September. And now we're coming into the end of Women's Week.
That's right, and two players from the Women's Week will progress. We've also got Europe and Africa to look forward to next month. Put that in the diary. But it's going to be very, very exciting. Like you say, only two players go through to the grand final. All events are broadcast live from the World Chess Club in Berlin on this fantastic main street Unter den Linden.
Absolutely, and let's take a look at the competitors. And those players that are grayed out for a reason. They've been eliminated from the competition, but we still have some big names left. Bibisara Assaubayeva, Women's World Blitz Champion, Humpy Koneru, legend of the game amongst Gunay Mammadzada and Alina Kashlinskaya.
Some great players, and also the money. That's what counts, isn't it? And there's some great prize money on offer. We saw Alexandra and Elisabeth go out yesterday. Today's players, you can see, are over there, and they're trying to get through to the €8,000 mark if they get a victory today, which is serious cash.
Certainly serious indeed, and lots of things to play for. And of course, we have to mention our partners, and IT.com is the official partner of the Armageddon Championship Series. It's a domain registry like no other. It provides a platform for anyone to create innovative domains and effectively showcase their online presence. So don't miss this opportunity. Visit IT.com today and create your unique online image.
Yeah, and we should now just have a look at the bracket and just see what we've got on offer. Some mouth-watering prospects. We have Gunay versus Bibisara and Humpy versus Alina.
Yeah, so much to play for. Like a spot in the grand finale as well up for grabs. But let's have a look at our first pair of the tournament. It is Alina Kashlinskaya will be playing Humpy Koneru. They are in the lower brackets, so whoever loses will be eliminated from the competition. And then we have Gunay Mammadzada and Bibisara Assaubayeva playing for that big money prize. And Here we go, takes a look at the first pairing, and it is between Alina Kashlinskaya and Humpy Koneru. Now, these two have such experienced veterans. They were confident and convincing yesterday, but if you take a look at their records, you can see that, well, it's all in Humpy's favor.
And again, we can just have a little more detailed look at their stats now. And first up is Alina, who had this very exciting game yesterday, so she must be really warmed up. She's an international master at the young age of 20, and you can see some of her achievements there on the screen, but she's got lots more achievements under her belt. And a very strong player. Let's hear a bit more about Alina in her own words.
Generally think that chess is connected with life, so I believe that, for example, for the majority of chess players, I think that if you're very calm in everyday life, you probably also have more positional style over the board. But of course there are exceptions. I think that chess is a game of mix of both creativity and mathematics, because on one hand you need to calculate a lot of lines, so mathematics is very useful, but on the other hand we would all become just computers if we wouldn't use the intuition and creativity. I graduated from psychology university, and the idea behind that was that psychology will help me in chess. I read a lot of psychology books, I watch movies about other sportsmen, and I think that all this stuff with motivation, stress, how you can handle the pressure, it all works. I mean, it all has a lot of meaning during the game.
So will she be able to psych her opponent out? Well, we'll find out, because she is playing against the formidable, legendary Humpy Koneru from India. Humpy became a grandmaster at 15 years old. She's been Women's World Rapid Champion, and also she did challenge for the Women's World Champions title in 2011. And let's hear more from Humpy in her own words.
I think becoming a professional player is not an easy task. You need to be psychologically strong, you have to be self-disciplined, and you have to be good at calculation and kind of tactics of solving problems. You need to have a lot of presence of mind, especially when you are playing shorter time controls. And apart from that, it's important to maintain the fitness as well. I'm more into philosophy nowadays. I don't think much about the results or what will happen in the next thing. So whatever comes in my way, I'm ready to accept that. It's important that I enjoy the game, and it's also important for me to play some good games. It's not about the result. I just wanted to do whatever I can to my best.
Yeah, it's going to be a riveting match, and you can see the timer is ticking down. We're under a minute now until the first game, and the format, it's 2 games of 3 minutes plus 2 seconds of move. If it's a draw after those 2 games, so 1-1, then you go to Armageddon.
The crowd's favorite, and that basically means that White will have 5 minutes on the clock, but it isn't a must-win situation, whereas Black will have 4 minutes and draw odds. 30 seconds away, and this is also one of the most important people in the room. It is Anastasia Sorokina, our arbiter. So she is there to watch out if the pieces start flying or the players start behaving badly.
Very impressive necklace she was wearing there as well. And we're 10 seconds away from the start. Our studio is warming up now, and we see Humpy has the advantage of the white pieces. Will we see Humpy move her knight out? I expect so. She likes playing a nice positional game. No, she pushes the pawn.
She does, and how will Alina react? And in fact, Alina actually not playing one of her main openings. She's actually opening with the Benko Gambit.
Brilliant choice, I feel. One thing I've noticed about Alina's play so far is that her preparation has been quite phenomenal. She's picking great openings, specially tailored against her opponents. Now, talking about the styles of the 2 players, Humpy is a very positional player, doesn't like tactics. On the other hand, Alina, she is very good, obviously, all round, but wants to get something tactical against Humpy. And this is a sacrifice already. Alina gives up a pawn to try and open up the position, get tactics started. So it's a brave choice, but I think a very sensible choice.
Yeah, absolutely. With this time control, it's all about having the initiative. It's all about playing with a safe king. And yesterday, we saw that Humpy was in her element, you know, when her king was safe, when she'd got an easy development, and she was able to take the game into the long haul, where Humpy is simply superb. And Alina loved this choice of opening because Humpy is not going to be able to rest on her laurels.
That's right, and at the moment White is actually 2 pawns up, but you can see Black's centre. Remember, the start of the game, get your knights and bishops out, get your centre really consolidated, and your king castle. Look at Black's centre there. I really enjoy playing this type of position as Black. It's actually, I think, called the Bloomingfield Gambit, this variation. And the problem that White can get is the Black queen can swing over to attack the White king. The rook next to Black's king is on an open line. Black's dark square bishop is aiming at the king. So later on, it can get quite tactical, and Black can get good attacking chances. Very good choice of opening. Humpy doing a normal thing, Jovanka, spending far too long at the start, but she really does quicken up when it gets critical.
Yeah, we've seen that Humpy has incredible instincts when it is needed. And here I have to mention, take a look at Humpy's heart rate. It is accelerated up to 124. She is stressed. So anything normal, just to give you some context, is anything below 100. And there we see that Humpy is reacting, bravely pushing a pawn into the middle of the board, challenging Black's formation. I mean, this is very much in Humpy's style. But I have to say, Alina does now have to play very combatively. She cannot step forward with her d-pawn and attack the knight because White has their threats of their own.
Yeah, this move from Humpy, a very good move. This is the kind of thing you got to know as a chess player. If you're playing certain openings, we're still kind of in the opening stage, getting to the middle game, you need to know the key plans. This move here is a key way of meeting Black's gambit opening. If you didn't know about this move, which is giving up a pawn, back a pawn I should say, then you might get in a lot of trouble. But Humpy, clearly a very experienced player, and realizing this is a good way to break down Black's center and activate her pieces. So I think a very, very good choice, that one there.
Definitely. And taking a look at Humpy's body language and the way she's sitting there so calmly, you would never guess that her heart was pounding. She looks completely unfazed.
And Alina has gone back with her bishop. This is certainly a move that she would not have wanted to play. You don't want to retreat your pieces, and that bishop has gone to a more passive square. Humpy now on the going a little bit aggressive there, attacking a pawn, and Alina bringing her knight back to defend that pawn in the middle of the board. So Black is basically saying, okay, well look, I'm only a pawn down, but I still believe in my center. My center is so nice. As long as I keep my center, I'm going to have compensation. The evaluation bar is obviously like in White's position. Computers are greedy, aren't they? They love a bit of material. But don't get carried away what the valuation bar is saying, because, well, it's dropped a lot after that last move, because they're not always right. They don't understand computers attacking possibilities always, especially human emotions at this time limit. I have to say, Humpy's last move looks very sensible, but evaluation bar has really dropped. So I'm wondering why, Jovanka, it has dropped so much.
I'm also wondering why. I'm thinking, I mean, is the Black Queen simply going to step forward 2 squares and defend the pawn? Or is there maybe something else? And I was also considering this move, going on the counterattack, just ignoring the material, because after all, White's pawn on e4 is also very shaky. And now we can see the clock is ticking down for Humpy, and the position is wild, it is chaotic.
She plays
really not ideal.
She plays the start of the game like, you know, like she's going on a cruise around the world. Just chill out, sit on the deck chair, read a paper, take it easy. But this is Armageddon. You've got to play quickly. She's won a second pawn with check. She's got only 30 seconds left. This is where she normally speeds up, and she has to. The knight calmly comes into the middle, and I think Black can just take that knight minimum, and look at those beautiful Black pawns. You can also take the pawn in the middle.
That's what I would be going for, a decent destabilize that knight by capturing that pawn. Because after all, take a look at black's bishop there on b7. That light squared piece is just going to bear down. But Alina finding a counter-attacking possibility. She says, you know what? I can introduce the rook into the game. And Humpy, 16 seconds, and the position is still very dynamic.
I don't understand why she plays so slowly, Jovanka, because
it's a difficult position, I have to say, but at the same time, she does have to be practical. And now you see Humpy is trying to simplify the position. She's trying to make it easier for her to play. She only has 8 seconds left, but she does get an extra 2 seconds per move, and she's on the back foot for sure.
This position is absolutely beautiful for black. Black is still a pawn down. Alina's heart rate is going up, but she's played the opening and the middle game so well. Against Humpy, you need to attack. You need to make it tactical. This is the move I was thinking she should play. The dark square bishop can come behind that pawn, and it does. And that bishop is aiming at the king. Humpy is in serious defensive mode now. Maybe a black rook can swing over, or a pawn in the middle can push forwards. The black rook does swing over. Humpy, 7 seconds to go, and Alina now down to 30 seconds. I like black's position, but she's got to break through.
She does have to break through, and there will certainly be sacrifices on Alina's mind. And she goes for a very natural continuation, pushing the pawn forward, and you just see how Humpy has sped up. She is just all about reinforcing her pieces, making sure that they're protected so that she can play moves at tempo.
And Alina is maybe now going to take that bishop, and that could be very interesting. No, she gives her king an escape square. The question still remains, how can Alina break on through to the other side? So I was getting a bit carried away there. The bishop comes in, attacks the rook, and it's all on the clock. They've both got 10 seconds. Humpy has dealt with this so very well, but she's now given up her rook.
That was an accident. I don't think she planned for that. But still, the position is incredibly complicated. And Humpy now attacking the queen. And, whoa, Humpy now liberating both her bishops, and Alina just trying to keep the position as dynamic as possible. It's going to come down to the clock.
Well, queen takes pawn. It looks like black has terrible threats on the second rank. And that pawn also in the middle of the board, you could just push it. She has. That pawn is so close to queening. Humpy is in desperate situation here. But she's got rid of the pawn.
She dropped the pawn on d7, and now the bishop has fallen. It's panic.
And Humpy just kept her nerve a little bit better there. Alina is now in a lost situation. The two bishops are much better than the rook. Anything can still happen, but now white is using the pawn. The pawn, so dangerous, and white has 2 extra bishops. Okay, black has an extra rook, but the bishops are more important. So as long as Humpy does not blunder here, she's going to be winning this game. And there's checkmate threat on the board. The queen is threatening to checkmate the black king.
Oh, she can actually go bishop takes rook. They haven't seen it. They're completely...
Well, I can understand why they haven't seen it, because the time situation is dire. And Humpy's doing it again. She gets down to her last 10 seconds, and then she plays like a god. It's unbelievable how she does this game after game. 2 seconds, 1 second on the board there, and it really is so bad, and she's lost on time there.
Oh, yes. Game over. There you see handshake from the players, but what a time scramble there at the end. It felt like anything could happen. Ooh, 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 what an emotional game. And it's important, you know, Humpy takes the first point.
Yeah, that was really exciting, that one. I mean, I thought Alina did so well throughout that game. She got a very interesting opening. She kept the pressure on in the middle game. But actually, when it got down to the real critical stage where you start shaking, you have to play good moves when you've got only seconds left, it was Humpy, yet again, who dominated at that part of the game.
Yeah, I have to say, very impressive play from Humpy in terms of the fact that she kept her cool. And what can I say? This is, and there we see Humpy actually taking a pawn, and it's here where the position got very wild. It got very out of control for Humpy, and she was playing this position, which was exceedingly dangerous for her, with less than 30 seconds on the clock. And it's just a testament to her defensive skills.
I honestly don't know how Humpy does it time and time again. And you see in this position coming up that Alina now takes the rook, and she got a really good position. I thought Alina was going to win this one around here with the extra rook, but then things turned against her very shortly after that, where she lost the bishop. And anything can happen in Armageddon. Anything can happen when you've only got seconds on the clock. And it was here where Black just blundered. First of all, a pawn, and then after the pawn goes a bishop. And she could see a little shake of the head there from Alina. She realizes that that was the losing mistake there. It must have been heartbreaking, but she has another chance still.
She certainly does have another chance. She is in a must-win situation. She does have the white pieces, and we have seen Alina play fantastic chess. And here are the closing moments of the game where you just see the players in full-on panic mode. This is chess at its most realist, and players both not quite realizing that the rook on b7 was up for grabs.
Yeah, it's always going to be Humpy though who's winning it. Humpy's king is a bit safer. It's got more pawns protecting it. Humpy's got the two bishops, and you can see that Humpy is pressurizing Black's king. And the real defining moment, well, it was actually checkmate, I think, on the board, as well as Alina losing on time. So we come to the second game, and one of the reasons I love Armageddon, this series, is because you just don't get a break. It's full-on entertainment. And 45 seconds until the next one. And Alina has got the advantage of the white pieces. And if she plays like she did in the first game, well, I think she could get it to Armageddon. There's everything still to go on here.
Absolutely. But it's a question of being able to reset. And that game was incredibly adrenaline-packed. It was very emotional. Both players just frantically making their moves. Don't have too much time to reset. Alina has the white pieces. Now she has to put Humpy under pressure, and she has to keep her nerve.
Yeah, she does. And you see 6 seconds until the kickoff. What can Alina do? Just keep doing what she did in the first game. She's got to try to get the same kind of position. Humpy is so good in, we've noticed, when she gets shorter time, she's incredible. Her nerves are amazing. It's a Trompovsky. This is one of my favorite openings, and it's now gone into something slightly different here, but I like this choice. Alina is an irregular opening that White's played, and against someone with such experience as Humpy, Humpy's grandmaster at the age of 15, it's good to play something a bit irregular, I feel. Try to get Humpy out of her normal, well-known positions. Try to surprise the opponent. Again, chess is like a battle. In a battle, if you surprise your opponent, you could get some serious casualties going.
Yeah, and Alina now developing her pieces, and already I can see in the starting heart rates that Alina has managed to get her heart rate to a very normal 105, but for Humpy it's still on the high side at 124. And Humpy just developing very normally. How will Alina handle? And here comes the big idea. She extends forwards with the f-pawn. Now, Simon, I know you and I have had many battles with this particular pawn structure.
Well,
when we were kids.
I can remember one battle where you absolutely destroyed me, Jovanka. I think that was the last time we played. You checkmated my king. You had to walk all around the board, and you made me cry. It was really cruel. I'd never see a big ginger cry. It's not a pleasant sight. But you're right. This position that White's got, it's kind of called a stone wall setup. This pawn structure can be very, very nice, and I really like it because this is a good stone wall because White's dark square bishop is outside of the wall. White's pawns are like a wall, a very strong wall, but your pieces are working very well. So this is I like what White's doing here. I would personally love to have this position with the white pieces because you get great attacking chances. If Black castles, well, that king could get in so much trouble, but White can simply castle her king, which I expect she should just do here, just castle. There's other good moves, but why not castle? I really like Alina's position again.
I absolutely love Alina's position. I mean, she has a lot of happy moves at her disposal. She can back it up with castling, as Simon's indicated. She can also reroute the knight on d2, and I was actually going to suggest this move as well. Just get the queen into the action. You know, the queen can have many active possibilities. It can support even a g2, g4 pawn push. It can also sidestep should the black king decide to also go to the right. And Humpy will know that something has gone wrong for her.
Yeah, and the other reason that white moves the queen here in this position, which is similar to some London systems, is to stop black's knight coming into the middle of the board. That's oh, she's done it anyway.
She's done it anyway.
Okay, so it's a little bit tactical, and the point is she can go knight takes knight. I missed this very clever idea by Humpy. I mean, the computer doesn't like it, but to my eyes, it looks good because now black has lost her castling rights. Very well thought out there, Humpy. She had to calculate a little series of moves, and that white king is not ideal in that position there. Yeah, it's behind your stone wall, but you want it on the side of the board. You want it castled because things could easily open up and that king could easily become weak. And now this exchange here, this is also a little bit peculiar because a lot of pieces are coming off. Let's remember, Alina has to win. She doesn't want to exchange pieces. So it's now taken a turn in Humpy's favor here.
Yeah, but there is something that's very positive for Alina, and that is that black's light square bishop is such a bad piece. It's stuck behind the pawn chain, and Humpy now going on the offensive there on the left, just trying to seize as much space as possible. But it does feel like this is not where the action is going to be happening, and instead Alina does have the possibility to actually just blast open and try to get the F-line out there.
Yeah, I mean, the good thing about losing the first game is you can kind of play with less fear in the second game. You've got to take risks. You don't have to think, oh, should I take a risk or not? You have to take risks. So the pawn in front of white's queen, I think both me and Jovanka would be pushing that pawn forwards, or at least that would be our candidate move. Instead, a bit of a quiet move there from Alina. Not a bad move, but at some point she's going to have to move one of those pawns on the right-hand side of the board because you have to open up the position. You have to get an attack. Maybe she's waiting to see where Humpy's going to put her king. Will Humpy castle kingside? I don't think so, because everything is waiting there. Humpy closing it down there. I'm not sure I like that move.
I'm not
from
sure
black.
I like that move as well, because it also gives white now the additional possibility of breaking forward in the center, because the tension is no longer there. And I really like the way that Alina has been playing it so far. Now she's pushed the H-pawn 2 squares forward. She's getting ready just to get a pawn avalanche going on the right side.
Yeah, and it's, oh, well, you can see Humpy is basically going for a draw.
No.
This is trying to stop all pawn breaks, but this is very negative play from Humpy because you want to keep counterplay. And Alina is now in the driving seat because Alina has all the pawn breaks. Humpy castling her king, but white now has to play a pawn break, and she does. And this is a great move. White is just making a lot of progress on that right-hand side.
Yeah, I'm not really happy with Humpy's play. I can understand the philosophy behind it. It's all about getting the king to safety, but white just holds everything. It holds the key to opening up the position. And Humpy, take a look at that clock time. She's under 30 seconds. Her heart rate is going up, and it's situation critical. And now she actually pushes the F-pawn, but this is just conceding the G line for Alina. Now she's going to come forward with a rook on the G line. Humpy really now on the defensive.
But we know what happens when Humpy gets short of time. She plays like incredible standard. I think she plays a lot better short time. She's going to need to here. White is dominating the open file. White has a dominating position. Look at White's rooks. They're brilliant. And now the queen comes over. Triple power on the open file. One of those white rooks will come into the position.
But the pawn has dropped off the board.
Yeah, I mean, this is also very, very strong. And White is winning now. Can she put the ball in the back of the net?
Yeah, it certainly looks like this is going to be one-way traffic, and I like the way that Alina's doing it. Very calm, collected, and Humpy almost blundering a second pawn. And instead, she does defend the east. Oops. And now the rook comes into the 7th row. This is 7th heaven. It's just a matter of time. How and when is Alina going to break through?
And Alina has played so well in this game. Humpy actually played a little bit negatively, and you can see that White's not just a pawn up, but White has the dominating pieces. This is more like it, sacrificing a pawn to try and open up lines, sacrificing a second pawn, but she should have played this earlier. This is a bit more desperation than anything else. It hasn't really helped Black's cause because Black can't get into the position.
And Humpy is panicking. You can see the hesitation in her moves, and she only has 9 seconds. And just take a look at those pawns, and there you go, the queens were going to come off the board, and this means that Humpy has resigned, and we're going to see
Armageddon.
I feel the need for some speed.
And it is 1-1 now. Alina winning that game, leveling the score. Actually, a very smooth game.
Incredibly impressive.
She just had a little advantage. I mean, it looked like it slipped. Humpy played a little bit negatively there. It's really hard when you're playing and you know you've got a draw in hand, because you can play for a draw. But that was a key example of knowing that you have a draw, playing for a draw, but just not really getting anything out of the position, playing too negatively.
Yeah.
And Alina just kept her cool and won actually very smoothly there.
Yeah, I have to say it was a model game from Alina, and I certainly will be checking out that game in more detail later on tonight. But it's now Armageddon time. Well, let's have a look at those key moments where Humpy decides to initiate a set of trades, and this was a good decision from Humpy. It just later on you're going to see that slowly things took a turn for the worse.
Yeah, that was a good exchange, and you can see here, this is where Humpy starts to go wrong, because she closes down the area of the board where her pawns are most advanced. She didn't want to do that. You've got to leave yourself pawn breaks in chess, and what I mean by that is you need to have pawn moves that will open things up. If you don't have pawn moves that open things up, then you don't have any active play, and chess is about giving your pieces active play. On the other hand, look at Alina on this side of the board. Alina has these pawn breaks, and this gives her active play, for her rooks. That first rook comes in, the second rook now slides over, rook's on an open file, and she just finished it off really well there.
Yeah, Alina making it look easy, if I have to say so. And again, here we can see the hesitation from Humpy. We have seen Humpy play exceptional chess with seconds left on the clock, but here it just did not go in her favor at all. The hesitation there, and now the handshake as Humpy realizes the queens are gonna leave the board and no chances. And we are less than 1 minute from Armageddon, and the last time Humpy actually played an Armageddon, she lost against Bibisara. She lost on time because she was not quick enough. And the last time Alina played an Armageddon was against Sara Khadem, and she won. So perhaps the two will be reflecting on their past and thinking, well, okay, I need to do this.
And the other thing to bear in mind with this one is the loser is out of the competition. There's no more chances here for either player. And it's come down to this. One game, one very quick and exciting game of chess. And remember, they're playing for serious money. One of them is going to get a big paycheck, and the other one's going to get less of a paycheck and be knocked out and not have a chance to get through to the final. 8 seconds. I love the Armageddon redness.
Yes.
It just flows with my beard.
And
nice and ginge.
And well, Humpy with the black pieces will have draw odds, but does have less time. And there we see Alina actually employing her normal repertoire, and now she's exchanged pawns in the middle of the board. This is a very, very critical opening test for Humpy.
Yeah, so Alina has changed her openings here. I don't know if that was wise. It was actually Humpy who also made a slight change, but this structure I would have thought would actually suit Humpy, because it's a very traditional setup, this one, and Humpy is quite a traditional player. She likes traditional pawn structures. This is a Queen's Gambit. You might know that name from the very famous TV show, and one of White's main plans is to try to move in the center, but what Humpy has played here is a modern approach, and it's supposed to be a pretty good approach for Black. Black can use those pawns on the left-hand side to create her own threat. So Humpy clearly knowing the latest theory here.
Yeah, but I have to say, this approach from Humpy is not without its risks, because take a look at that bishop. That will be such a bad piece for a long, long time. And Alina making all the right moves. She's tucking her king into the corner. For White, it's going to be all about breaking through with the pawns in the middle of the board.
And let's remember, this Armageddon game, White has to win. That's the first important thing. Otherwise, Alina is eliminated. And the second most important thing is that you don't get any extra time. Every other game they play, they get 2 seconds added on per move. This one is guillotine. So that clock is so, so key. Humpy has played a very active move there. I think she had to play this. But now White does have a very nice square for the knight. There it goes in the middle of the board. Knights in the middle are very, very nice pieces. The evaluation bar quite likes Black, but I wouldn't pay much attention to that at the moment. I think this is a normal position, and maybe I would even prefer to be White in this structure.
Yeah, absolutely. I do feel that White does have good chances of pressurizing that pawn in the middle, and Humpy actually using, well, it's a different type of technique, because usually when you're defending with this isolated pawn in the middle, you want to keep all the minor pieces on the board. But Humpy actually making some trades. She wants to simplify the position so that it's easier for her to get that draw she needs.
The White knight coming to a great square there, attacking the queen. If Humpy doesn't move the queen, she loses it, so she had to move the queen. Can White maintain the knight there? I'm not sure. It could have been going there a little bit prematurely. White's got to find a good backup, and maybe the other knight could start moving to a better square. You can move the knight to e2, if you can see that coordinate in front of the rook, and then move that one into the middle. No, she's moved the knight back, so that was actually a premature jump there. And now Humpy's knight is starting to find some good routes into the position, but there's a lot of play left here. The queens are on the board. Black's making a little bit more progress than White on the last moves, but I still quite like White. I love White's knight in the middle. This knight in the middle of the board is so strong. Black cannot kick this knight away. It was actually ex-world champion Boris Spassky who said about this knight in the same position. He said, this knight is the strength that White has. It's not the pawn in front of it, which is the issue.
Well,
so it's,
White might have a good knight, but Humpy in these last few moves has actually leapt forward with her pieces. And take a look at the White rook on g1. I mean, it is looking at its own pawn. I have to say, Humpy is again making all the right moves. She just needs a draw, but she is actually playing for a win.
And this is what, well, she made the mistake in the last game when she needed to have a draw, and she played for a draw. And this game, it does seem she's playing much more proactively. But have a look at the clock. Don't forget about the clock. They're not getting extra time in this one. Humpy, if you get down to under a minute in Armageddon and the position is even, you're in trouble, because it's so hard to pick up the pace. You can only get about another 30 moves in before you lose on time. I like Black's position in some ways, but I actually still quite like White, even though the evaluation bar does not agree with me. So I'm anti-computer today. It's nice to be a bit of a rebel against the computer sometimes. Go away, computer. I like White. Maybe White can try bringing the queen around to the king side. Interesting choice there, that knight coming back, Jovanka.
Yeah, I kind of like what Humpy's doing. You know, White's big asset is that big knight in the center that you've been talking about and raving about, actually. And Humpy's like, you know what? I don't like that either. Let's trade it off. And again, okay, we're going to see some eliminations, some trades of pieces. And remember, Alina is in a must-win situation. The more simplified the position gets, the easier it is for Humpy to play good moves quickly.
That's right. The white knight is still very nice here, but black has now got a pawn that can kick that knight away, and I think Humpy is getting ready to move that pawn. I still think the white knight dominates the white bishop. That knight now has to move, though. This was Humpy's idea. We know Humpy a great positional player, so she's well aware of getting rid of that knight. The time situation is 2 minutes against 1 minute 20. I think, to my eyes, that's going to be the key deciding factor. And I think as long as Alina keeps the position okay, doesn't make a mistake, I think she can, what we call in chess, flag the opponent. That means win on time against the opponent. Where's that knight going to go? Oh, this is a interesting move, pinning the pawn down. Does that work?
Yeah, it might not work actually, because you can take the knight and then take the pawn. You can go on a big adventure. Other moves to consider is, I know Humpy likes to play it safe, is just simply stepping forward with a rook or back with a rook. Okay, and here it comes, and now Humpy is now taking the initiative. Just look at her pieces springing forward. Alina in big trouble.
Yeah, so this was the problem. If Alina the position is kind of cracking with Alina. She's been forced backwards, and the black queen has come in. So this is bad news for Alina. She's making a king an escape square now. Oh, a really powerful move from Humpy. If the rook moves, white's knight is taken by black's queen, so you can't move the rook. This is looking really bad for Alina. Can she find any way out of this? I can't even see a defense here. This move is a killer move.
Absolutely it is, and there goes the knight, and is now just a question of time. Humpy's going to come in with a rook, and now she's probably going to start advancing her own pawns.
Yeah, so Humpy really has to move quick now, but she is a piece up. Humpy has the extra bishop. The valuation bar thinks it's completely lost to white. I've seen these positions, though, go wrong. The black king is a little bit weak. White only has a queen to attack it, but a draw is not even good enough. You might be able to repeat the position, but you need, as white, to win this position. I've no idea how she's going to win this one. It just seems impossible, except on time. So just move quickly, Alina. This is your only chance.
Yeah, I mean, the only hope that I can see for white is just to push those pawns in the center and just hope for the best. And the heart rates are skyrocketing. Humpy's is now up to 131. We do see Alina just push the D pawn, but unfortunately Humpy has her own trumps. She has a B pawn that is 2 squares away from queening. And is she gonna
away.
Yeah, no. Okay,
getting closer and closer, and but they are now down to 28 seconds. They don't get any more time.
Ooh.
So it's still quite interesting, because look at the speed they're playing at now. Alina's doing the right thing. As long as you just keep the game alive by playing quickly, look at the hands go, you're going to have some chances. Don't lose your queen as white. As long as you keep the queen on the board. She's lost her queen.
No, but
there goes the queen,
yeah,
and that is the end of the game.
Oh, I was just going to say,
No.
yes, no.
No pieces
the best.
left. It's hard to win when you don't have any pieces left.
No, unfortunately, you cannot win the game when you just have a king left. And that's it. Humpy wins the Armageddon game, and she stays in the competition. Alina is sadly eliminated.
Yeah, it was a very interesting game, that one. It looked like Alina was doing pretty well, but Humpy really showing a lot of quality there again. I mean, she kept her cool. She got chances in the middle game. Again, middle game seems to be a strength.
Yeah.
Middle to end. She really grasps those opportunities when they come about. She got her queen right into Alina's position, and Alina's best hope there was to play quickly, and she nearly caused some problems, but she just left it a little bit too late. So impressive all round from Humpy there in that Armageddon game.
And yeah, no, I have to say, Humpy has shown us time and time again that she has fabulous instincts. And it seems like Simon's indicated before that, as soon as the clock starts ticking down, she plays on those natural reflexes and plays exceptional moves. I mean, she is, of course, like one of the world's best women players.
Of all time.
Of all time,
yeah,
I have to say.
Incredible.
And look, here she comes again. And this is where Humpy just seizes that counterattack. She comes in with the rook, and she grasps the opportunity, as you've indicated.
Yeah, and the other thing that impressed me so much about Humpy is She's so cool. You know, I mean, I would be getting so stressed out with the time handling there. And this was the key move. This bishop coming in, you can see the bishop is aimed at White's rook. White would have loved to have moved that rook, but then you lose your knight next to it. So you're losing material, and you didn't just have enough. You just had no counterplay, Alina, there with the white pieces. So it was a goner. So impressive stuff. And at the end of the game, they had this crazy blitz finish, and you can see that as long as White doesn't, White had some chances as long as you don't blunder, and I think, well, okay, it was on the clock, and Humpy just keeps her cool very well. And the final problem here was when the queens get exchanged, and the queens get exchanged here, and as soon as the queens come off, White doesn't have any pieces left, so there's nothing that can be done.
Yeah. So we are going to go over to David, who has an interview with Alina.
Yeah, I'm here with Alina. Alina, that was a heartbreaking match. Talk to me a little bit about how you're feeling.
Well, of course, I'm upset because of losing the match. I don't know, I felt that in the blitz part I was dominating with black pieces. Most likely I was winning at some point. With white also I had no problems, but then in Armageddon, like, I don't know, I played much worse than in blitz part of the match.
I was very interested in the opening you picked for the first game. Was that home cooked for today or something you've played before?
No, it was prepared for today.
Very good. I mean, it was a very cool try for sure. And second game, how do you feel about that whole rook stack?
Second, you mean second blitz game?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it went smoothly for me. I mean, I was just playing the most natural moves. I was surprised that she played a5 and a4, and that she had no counterplay.
Now, what about Armageddon? You picked the white pieces. Why did you pick the white pieces?
In the previous Armageddon, I also picked the white pieces. I thought it's more important to have 1 extra minute. It's not basically about the color, but about the time. And yeah, I don't think that was the mistake. I think something went wrong during the game.
Yeah. Of course, the tournament is over now. Are you going to be rooting for anybody in the rest of the tournament?
Honestly, I was not planning to, but of course I will be following how it ends up.
And what's next for your chess career?
I will play a round-robin tournament in Bydgoszcz that will be in the end of June.
Well, best of luck, and it was so great to have you at the club, and best of luck with the rest of your career, and hope to see you back in Berlin. Simon, Jovanka, back to you.
Thank you, David. And it is my great pleasure to have here with us in the studio Humpy Koneru, who just had a very intense match against Alina. Does it talk us through that?
Yeah, like in the first game, like it was quite surprising from her to play this Brunfeld Gambit, and I think after the opening I was having a very good position when I got this e4 and knight g5, and my bishop h3 was terrible mistake. I should have played bishop f4, developing one more piece simply. But once I made the mistake, I think she played very accurate, like playing d4 and giving away the pawn, and rook a6 was too good. And my position was all of a sudden, it was worse, and I even blundered the exchange, and she was completely winning. So I was just lucky to win that game in the gamble. And in the second game, I think she just crushed me because I couldn't find a plan. Probably my setup was too passive to play in a shorter time control. I should have played more actively.
Were you surprised by her opening choices?
Yes, of course. I was surprised, and I think she played pretty well today in all the games. Okay, Armageddon, it was quite tough. Again, it was black for me as she won the toss. But I'm happy that I think out of the 3, the Armageddon was the best game what I performed.
Yeah, it seemed like you kept your cool very well.
Yeah,
especially
I was able to find out the moves and resources, so I think I was happy with the play in the Armageddon. Yeah.
We've always been very impressed by how you're able to keep so calm and actually play really good chess with just seconds left on your clock.
No, today I felt like I was a bit very shaky. I just feel I'm lucky to go through.
It must feel good, though, to be in the next round now. A bit of a relief or excitement?
Yeah, I think this whole tournament is like no player can feel relief at any moment because being a knockout and I have already lost one match. So we don't know what will happen. So just keep on. I should keep on fighting.
Talking about the future, we do have to check out the brackets, and you will be facing next the loser between Gunay Mammadzada and Bibisara Assaubayeva. Do you have any personal preferences?
No, not really. I think both are youngsters, so it's important to, stay more focused.
Yeah. And how will you prepare? I mean, or how will you recover from this
I
match?
really don't know. I just want to relax for some time and then think about the next match.
And how do you relax?
Usually sometimes in the nights I watch Indian movies or some comic scenes to get out of the stress. Yeah.
So comedy.
Yes, comedies. Yeah.
Very, very wise choice, I feel. So yeah. But well done. That was really exciting and very interesting open game. We do have one more match later on, so we'll just have a look at some highlights and concentrate on that.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
And it's time to, of course, mention one of our partners, the FIDE Online Arena, which hosts rated tournaments and games 24 hours per day. Join the arena and you'll get a FIDE ID, a profile on FIDE.com, access to a pro chess community, as well as official online ratings and titles recognized by the International Chess Federation. There are prize money tournaments and so much more. So play official games at chessarena.com.
Yeah, and we're coming to the second matchup now, and this one is going to be really, really exciting. These two players, I think it's fair to say, have been playing the best blitz chess out of everyone so far, so expect high quality. It's Gunay versus the current blitz world champion at the age of 19, Bibisara.
And here we can see the stats for Gunay Mammadzada. She's actually 22. She's second youngest participant in the tournament. She's Azerbaijan's top female player. She got the international master title at just 18 years old, as well as being under 10 girls world youth champion and national champion of Azerbaijan in 2017 and 2019. And fun fact, she likes to run and keep strong by doing aerial yoga. So let's hear more from Gunay Mammadzada in her own words.
Psychology plays a big role in chess, but in women chess I think plays a bigger part. And nowadays, in the modern ChatGPT era, it plays a key role to memorize. If you're good at it, you will get more scores because the opponents tend to play other openings, so you have to memorize everything, and without the memory you can't go further. Calculating is the key part also. I can't say that calculating is not needed, but when you start playing the game, the first thing that you have to get a good position, and for that you need to play opening good, so you need to memorize the opening.
Yeah, fantastic player, and her opponent is also quite a fantastic player, being the world blitz champion. And this is Bibisara, and she's been world blitz champion for 2 years in a row, which is quite phenomenal at such a young age. And she got her IM title at the age of 16, and fantastic player. Let's just hear a bit more about her now.
I have a schedule of the day, how much time I need to spend with my family, with chess, with my friends and other hobbies, and it's helped me very much. I have a lot of hobbies. I like to read, to do rhythmic gymnastics, spend time with my friends, with my family, play card games, and also I have a dog, very small. His name is Gucci. Now chess is popular and we have a lot of great programs, websites, and you need just find what you like and do it every day.
And we are less than a minute from the start of play. Did you know that Bibisara was a rhythmic gymnastics champion? Will that help her leap forward into the finale?
Bum, bum.
I've been planning that one for a while.
It could be quite interesting actually to incorporate that with some moves, you know, a bit of jumping and twirling after playing a good move. I mean, I could see you doing that, Jovanka, actually, you know, a bit of twirling maybe.
Oh, maybe.
Maybe.
Maybe one day. And we're anyhow less than 30 seconds. And there we can see the studio all in blue. And Bibisara playing with the black pieces. Gunay starting off with the white pieces. Gunay has a very aggressive style. She does like to attack. Bibisara also likes to play the black side with aggression, I have to say. She has quite attacking openings at her disposal, and we are less than 5 seconds. Tick tock, handshake, and they are off.
They are indeed. And what's the opening going to be? Well, we see the King's Pawn starting and the Sicilian. And this is a very sharp, very aggressive, very attacking opening. White gets a nice space advantage, but black gains a good center. The Nyadorf variation of the Sicilian. And we've seen that Gunay has played this bishop move before. And we now go into one of my favorite setups, something I play a lot with black. This is called kind of a Dzagnidze setup, and it does look like Bibisara has done her homework. She knows what she's doing, and she's developing in quite a normal fashion. I expect she'll want to push that black pawn in the middle if she gets a chance, so white stops that idea by tying the black knight down.
Yeah, and Bibisara just fianchetting the bishop. I've noticed that these two have actually had many battles before, and it's always been in some kind of dragon formation. And Gunay seems to be very well prepared. She knows exactly what to do. And again, she's getting ready with that queen move to perhaps castle her king to the left.
I hope we see that. It's always exciting when players put their kings on other sides of the board to their opponent's king, because you generally get a more aggressive game, and I like aggressive chess. On the other hand, Bibisara is just moving her queen so that the black knight has possibilities to move, and just keeping some flexibility in the position. Gunay probably has to decide where to put her king now, and she's gone for the most aggressive option. Yes, that's the kind of stuff that this ginger likes seeing.
I like seeing it too, but it does keep us on the edge of our seats now, because if the kings go on opposite sides of the board, both sides are basically declaring war on each other, and the margin for error becomes very, very close. You can't actually blunder. Now Bibisara already going on the offensive, stepping forward with her pawns. How is she going to follow through, especially when it comes to the king situation?
Yeah, I mean, I think white will be wanting to open up the middle of the board at the moment, because that's where the black king is. You want to open up positions where the king is. This is a normal safety first kind of move to play. You get the white king to a safer spot, but I would have thought that the move f4, moving that pawn sort of in there, what we call the pawn chain in the middle, would be a very tempting option. Bibisara, no, she has to. Is she going to castle her king? Is black going to leave the king in the middle? The problem with leaving the black king in the middle is that you don't connect the black rooks, and that means that black rook on the right hand side can't really get into the game. So I think, oh no, she's continuing attacking, and the white knight now comes back. And I expect black will just continue pushing those pawns. Maybe black is just going to go for an attack without castling, which is quite rare, but it might be a very good strategy. You could also move in the middle here as well. That pawn coming forwards one square, maybe.
It is a very risky position for both sides. One thing that is clear, though, is that white will be looking to open lines. This is what you do when your opponent's king is in the middle of the board. Opening lines, that's your attacking currency. For Bibisara, I think it's just about reinforcing her pieces. And you said just now that the pawn is under fire, so I'm expecting Bibisara to actually just pick up the a-pawn and move it one square forward.
Yeah, I thought this was a sensible move as well, so you can castle. I don't think white can take that pawn because black will move in the middle. It looks very risky. You might be able to take it, but I wouldn't be I wouldn't grab that pawn personally. It just seems too much. White maybe can move the bishop to stop black from castling, put the bishop on the right hand side one square forwards just so the black king can't move through check. Heart rates, let's have a look at them. Gunay's is much higher, 150. Bibisara is still quite high, and they are now getting short on time as well. 1 minute 30 against 1 minute, so they're spending a lot of time on this very critical and immensely complicated part of the game, and it's always worrying when they play my moves. I don't know if that's a good sign or a bad sign, Jovanka.
Yeah, I wasn't sure about that move because I felt that the black king maybe wasn't going to be headed on the right after all. But we see Gunay just take some time out to keep that king in the middle of the board. And still the position is very critical. And now Bibisara actually pushes forward with the a-pawn. Her big threat is to move that pawn one square forward and attack the knight. Once again, Gunay will be looking at initiating an attack. This can be done many ways. It can be done by picking up the f-pawn. It can even be done by just going forward with the other kingside pawns. And
she steps out of the way because that was just waiting for black to move the pawn again. It's going to attack the knight. Black just shuffles the queen. This is protecting the pawn in front of the queen. Black's position is easier to play. Even though white is doing fine, in this time limit, you want to have easy moves. Why is black's position easy to play? Because those two pawns on the left-hand side, you just try to shove them up the board. You want to open up white's kings. They're kind of used as levers to open up lines towards white's king. White now moving the knight, but I don't know where that knight's going. And white is, I think, struggling to find a good plan. There we go. The pawns are moving up. So I do like what Bibisara is doing. They're getting shorter time already now, though. And Bibisara has just castled. I think white is struggling to find a good plan here.
I agree with you. I mean, Bibisara's next moves is going to be so logical. I mean, it's just going to be about blasting through a line there on the left side of the board. I mean, can you do it now? I mean, do you push the A-pawn? Do you push the B-pawn? Oh, and both players less than 30 seconds, and it's critical. She goes for the most thematic one, which is to advance the B-pawn, and now Gunay has to lock it down on the left.
And this is looking very good for black because white's king is losing its protection. Just whose king is safest, but keep an eye on the clock. And let's remind everyone, what are they playing for? They're playing for a place in the grand final. Whoever wins this match has guaranteed a place in the September final. Black now moving the knight in, but the problem is the black bishop is threatening to take a pawn near white's king, completely exposing the king. There it goes. Boom! Put that in your pipe and smoke it. The king is opening up, and look at that white king. It's so exposed there. I would not like to be white in this position.
No, and Gunay only has 15 seconds to handle this mess. And now it's ticking down to 10, and her position is dire. And now she reroutes the knight, but okay, that is not going to help anything because Bibisara just simply doubles the rook. And 9 seconds for Gunay, and the clock is ticking down for Bibisara. It is all about who can control their nerves.
Black has a winning attack here. I'm pretty sure about that. She's just got to try to find the right way. Everything is lined up against white's king. There's a checkmate threat on the board. Black has to sacrifice, and black is just winning because the white queen is going to be lost. That position, well, brilliant play by Bibisara, but Gunay's king just got ripped apart there. Ripped to shreds. It's like the predator was let loose at the board there. Or a raptor or something. I don't know. It just went for the king and took it apart. Very strong play by Bibisara.
Yeah, absolutely. And I have to say, incredibly wise choice of opening from Bibisara. We saw a great middle game, and we just saw that it was much more difficult for Gunay to initiate an attack.
Can I see your dinosaur impersonation?
But that's like more like a tiger.
tiger then. That's all
like,
right.
yeah.
Tiger. Okay. Well, you've got to be a tiger at the chessboard, and we can see here it got to the critical stage, and Black's idea of using those pawns to open up White's king was clearly a very good idea, and the key move came with a big bishop swing. This was such a satisfying move to play. First of all, Black just keeping her king under control. The Black king has 3 bodyguards in front of it. We talk about this a lot during the show. Those pawns guarding your king, and boom, there it goes. And that was the killer, wasn't it?
That was a splendid move, and you can just say, you know, White's king completely helpless. It was naked. It could not defend against those overbearing rooks on the A line. Very impressive game from Bibisara with the black pieces as well. And here we see the final moments. Gunay is in desperation mode, and now White is threatening to come down with a rook and give a deadly check, and Gunay just sacrificing something, but it's no use, and the queen is going to lose itself. And now we are less than 1 minute from the start of play. Bibisara has the white pieces, and she just has one objective, that is to hold the game. And of course, if she manages this, like you said, she will punch a ticket into the grand finale, which will take place in September.
Yeah, there's a lot to play for. I mean, this ticket into the grand final, you're playing against legends of the game. There's more prize money on offer. She you know, it's a really, really big thing. So as long as Bibisara does not lose this game, she gets that place. So Gunay also has the black pieces. She's going to have to come up with some magic now, Gunay, to win against the current Blitz world champion. Bibisara's just looking so strong. She plays quickly, she plays aggressively, she spots tactics, she has good openings. She's just a good all-round player. Well, the best all-round player, a fantastic player.
Yeah. And there we see the handshake. And in fact, when it comes to Bibisara, just recently she held, well, no, she didn't held. She got the better half of a draw against former world champion Vladimir Kramnik. And he actually said that she was now one of the best women players in the world. And Bibisara now just deploying an opening that we call the exchange Slav variation. Now the two have had battles in this particular line before, and both of them scoring a win apiece.
I'm thinking that maybe a slight problem with Gunay is her. She mentioned this actually when she was speaking about having a wide opening repertoire. So I'm very surprised at Black's choice here, because this particular line has a very drawish reputation. Look how symmetrical it is. They're both basically copying each other. White has the advantage slightly, but it's so symmetrical. To win this position with Black, you have to really rely on your opponent making a mistake. So I'm a little bit surprised that she went for this line. I think she could have tried something a bit more aggressive to mix things up in a must-win situation.
Yeah, I mean, there is something to be said, though, for actually just keeping the game alive. You know, yes, it is a boring position in the sense that the pawn structure is symmetrical, and so are the placing of the pieces, but there's nothing worse in chess than being so close to the draw but not being able to force it.
Yeah, I mean, I just think that Black, you know, it's not even a boring line, it's just a very drawish line.
Yeah.
When title players, IMs, GMs play this, it nearly always ends in a draw, but it is obviously Armageddon, it is a blitz game, so lots of things can happen. Black now offering an exchange of bishops. White would love to just exchange off all the pieces and not change the pawn structure, because if White was able to do that, you just get closer to a draw. The one danger I suppose Bibisara has is thinking too much about that draw the way I am. Maybe I'm making a mistake. I'm going on about how drawish it is. Don't think like that when you're playing. You can't. You've just got to play the best moves.
Yeah.
Now, does she exchange here, or does she move something into the middle like a knight?
I think that she should exchange. No, I wasn't expecting this trade. I thought that she would just simply trade off the bishops and try to get a knight to the beautiful c5 square. And she's doing that, though. But this move has conceded something. For instance, the black knight can now jump into the center, and Gunay using that time to attack the queen.
Yeah, and the other thing that white has done by playing this is she's changed the pawn structure, and that gives black more chances because it becomes more unbalanced. Also, black now has a bishop for a knight. That's more unbalancedness. You need to have these changes. That is a very useful pin there on the white knight. So I'm kind of liking black's chances a little bit more than I was before. Structural wise, pawn structure wise, white has the better structure. You can see that white rook is lining up against black's pawn, and that pawn is a real problem. But now black getting some chances on the king side. So, oh, this is a brave move, that one, opening your king up there.
Yeah, and the reason that Bibisara can actually get away with it is because take a look at those pawns in the center. There's no tension, it's stable, so you are allowed to push forward on the wings. And well, Gunay says, you know what, I'm actually going to get rid of this weak c6 pawn, and I'm threatening to push it one square forward.
It's heating up, this one, though, definitely. The position is not dull anymore. It's not completely drawish. Now, I thought black had to move the pawn on the left-hand side to counter this. This is a move that white wants to play because it's clamping down on black's ideas. It's stopping black from pushing that pawn in front of the rook. But that pawn that white's just moved can be a target, and I really think black should aim against it. She doesn't. Black is going for an attack against white's king. Keep an eye on the heart rate as well. The heart rate is really going up, 150. I don't know about that knight move. It doesn't really seem to help.
No.
That knight... Oh, hang on a minute. Isn't black just in trouble here?
Yeah, and the bishop as well doesn't have too many squares. That h-pawn is actually going to move one square further and ask some embarrassing questions.
Well, I think you've just lost the piece here. As I think moving Harry the h-pawn on the side of the pawn traps black's bishop. That bishop has nowhere to go. So black lost some very important time there. And okay, this is the only move to try and counter it. But does white have something very clever here? It feels like white should have a very strong move. Even knight takes bishop is good. She's played this. She's not winning a piece, but she's winning a pawn, and she has the attack. This is really bad for Gunay.
Yeah, and she is running with the king, and it's just a question of white keeping their own king in safety. And I love Bibisara's last two moves. Look how she steps forward with the king. She starts controlling squares, and her rooks now occupy the only open line. Brilliant play by Bibisara.
And look at the concentration. She's able to keep really concentrated. You can just see it on the face. Maybe just move the queen here. White is a pawn up. It looks like white's king could be a bit exposed, but everything is quite nicely defended there. White now aiming to exchange off some knights. Bibisara getting very close to a place in the grand final here. If she can just get those knights off, the evaluation bar pretty much thinks it's over, but they're under a minute, so there's going to be some chances here. Black plays that knight back to that square. It didn't work out too well last time.
No, she actually moved that knight to the square and then changed her mind.
Okay, so let's keep an eye on the live board. The electronic board was tricked. Okay, we're back to the electronic board, and it is still white who's doing well, but black's making it complicated and trying now some action in the middle of the board, which is a good idea, trying to open up lines right there in that center. Bibisara got to keep her cool here, because her king could get exposed if some things get exchanged.
Exactly. One thing that Bibisara must ensure is that she must ensure that her king and queen always have some close connection to each other. And Bibisara now ticking to under the she's coming close to 20 seconds, and her heart rate is 130, and it's about keeping calm. And now she really took a risk, and this move was unexpected, but now it's been played. I can see that it does make some sense. She wants to tuck the king in the middle of the board, but does she have time for such recklessness?
It's quite an extravagant move, and I think just pawn takes pawn here looks quite good for black. I mean, when I say good, it seems like black might be getting chances because the white king is as exposed as the black king now. And okay, pawn takes pawn does happen, and this you can see, I don't know, I mean, that white king, I don't know why Bibisara moved there. Nerves, 7 seconds. Black could take this to Armageddon. She's given up that pawn. She is counter-attacking, and now, oh, Both kings look so exposed in this position here.
But the black queen is going to come in and give some checks.
Maybe move the rook in first. If I was black, I'd get my last piece into the attack, but gone for your idea, bringing the queen in, and now grabbing a pawn there. Both kings so exposed. White grabbing a pawn in return.
And, well, Gunay has to be very, very careful here. She has to give a check. And how is Bibisara going to handle that? She steps back with her king. But remember, Gunay is in a must-win situation.
That's right, and the problem here is that, well, look at the time, no, 3 seconds to go, 2 seconds, one. Oh! And whose king is safer here? I really don't know. Bibisara nearly losing on time. Black pushing in the middle. Gunay is doing a brilliant job of complicating this position as much as possible. And can she keep causing problems to the white king? I think that was a bit of a mistake from Gunay. And oh no. She can't be going for a draw. You can't get a draw. A draw means you lose.
And
why are you going for the draw?
It's the panic that's settling in, because the queen and the rook were hovering around the black king, and it is a draw. Bibisara qualifies to the final and secures her spot for the September grand finale.
Yeah,
wow.
Big game, that one. Let's just remind everyone also that Gunay does have a second chance. That's the first match that Gunay has lost. So Gunay will be playing Humpy for a place still in the final. So she gets another shot at it. But yeah, Bibisara is so impressive, isn't she?
Yeah.
She's just been playing so well. She's the Blitz World Champion. She's going to be now in September with some other legends of the game. And all in all, just deserving the place in the grand final.
Yeah, I mean, I have to say, especially the first game where she completely demolished Gunay with the black pieces. It was very, very impressive. And I can also just admire the way that she went for those complications. She grabbed material. She was unafraid of making those bold moves. And in the end, she did prove that the king is a very good defender on its own. She's breaking the rules somewhat.
Yeah, there was a little bit of nerves shown at the end, but I think that was understandable. We can pick up around the middle game here, and this was a very brave move. I mean, it's the kind of move that I don't know if I could bring myself to play, because my king, if I'm white here, looks a little bit airy. It's got a bit of a breeze around it, and you don't really want an airy king. You want it tucked up in bed where it can't get attacked. And this was where it just came to life, and I thought that Gunay played excellent chess here, giving up the pawn there. But the black queen now, I think the big mistake though is on the next move there. I think she had to get her rook in the game, because you can't checkmate your opponent's king just with a queen.
Yeah.
If black had brought the rook in, first of all, there would have been some major threats on the board. And the end of the game here, she tries bringing the rook in, but it's a little bit too late now, and white piles on pressure on the pawn there. And remember, a draw was all that was needed, and Bibisara got the draw in the end.
Yeah, and here we're going to see the final moments where Gunay sacrifices her knight in order to get that perpetual check. And the players are just playing instinctively. They have seconds left on. And it's very, very difficult to make those split-second decisions. And we're going to go over to David, who has an interview with Gunay.
Yeah, I'm here with Gunay. Talk to me about what happened today.
Well, hard to say, because in the first game I had a good position out of opening, and I was good at time. Like, I had 2 minutes and she had 1 minute at some point. Then I messed up and ended up with a bishop sacrifice. She sacrificed her bishop, and then I couldn't really good react and lost the game. Well, the second game I didn't really have the chances, so the first game was the most dramatic one.
And it's not the end of the world, or maybe I should say Armageddon. Ha 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 ha. I'm sorry. But you will be playing Humpy. Any thoughts about that matchup?
Well, I will try to show my best, definitely, and come up to the grand final.
In general, what do you think about this format now that you've played a couple of matches?
I think it's really cool, and the thing that it is broadcasted live and gives viewers to engage closer. So I really love this, and I would love to see this is in the formal chess championships. So it would be really cool.
Last thing I'd like to ask you is about the playing hall. It's very different from a typical playing hall. Do you get distracted at all by the lights?
When I first entered the playing room, I was really surprised at how we can play here. But when we started playing, I was like, I forgot everything, so it doesn't matter. It didn't matter anytime.
Well, you have another shot at glory. Best of luck, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you.
Back to you, Simon, Jovanka.
So we are here with the winner, Bibisara, and that was a really important win as well, because that puts Bibisara into the final in September. And do you want to talk us through those games? So the first game looks like really good game you played there.
Yeah, first game was under my control, and I love to play neither. Last few months I didn't play this opening. I have initiative and just sacrifice my piece on the a3 and have attack. In blitz it's of course winning. In classical I also still it's a good chance to win because it's hard to defend the position.
Yeah, you made Simon very happy when you sacrificed your piece.
Yeah, we saw that one coming, and it looked really strong, that one. And obviously winning with black in the first game, that must have felt really good and like put you under less pressure for the next one.
Yes, I have, I think, advantage in the second game, but they played strange move, king f3. I don't know why, I don't see any move, and I have few seconds. And I'm not sure, but in the end, when I played queen b7, she played queen e5, king f3. I think she have rook h3, and I don't know this is mate or not. I think it is because rook h3, king g2, queen h2, queen h1, queen e4, and then rook come back. I think it's a mate. But okay, I have a big advantage before and played some strange move. d4 is a big mistake because after queen f7 she have a problem and she need to do a draw.
Mm-hmm. And how are you feeling in that second game? Because you didn't have so much time on the clock. And the position was getting wild.
Usually I try to have a lot of time, maybe 10, 15, 20 seconds, but here I have less time than my opponent, and it's not very pleasant.
Did you know that at one stage you left yourself with 1 second?
Oh, maybe.
Yeah.
I just play queen b7 and don't see anything.
It was really close at one stage, but
Yeah.
well, we can have a look at the bracket now, because of course that has guaranteed yourself a place in the top two, so a good payday and a place in the grand final. So a very, very important win anyway. Must feel good.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, and how will you relax tonight, or?
Yeah, I need to have some rest and preparing to the next match.
Yeah.
We've got the Eurovision Song Contest on, so
Yes.
like yeah, it's a very good song contest that I like watching. But yeah, great results, and
Thank you.
yeah, get some good rest now before the
Thank
final.
you.
And are you interested in knowing your highest heart rate? 145.
Normal.
I always feel it doesn't really match that your heart rate is so high, but the calories burnt so
Yeah.
low.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's strange, isn't it?
isn't it?
So, yeah,
35 calories. I
But in
feel
this
that
match,
was much
I
more.
don't want a game with the time travel. My opponent.
Yeah, no, it was good. It was a very exciting game. So we'll have a look at the highlights now, I think. And yeah, we're well done getting in the final again.
And
Thank you.
congratulations.
Thank you.
For them.
Sorry, I missed that bit there. Sorry.
And we have to mention one of our partners, Kaspersky. As a technology and digital privacy company, Kaspersky supports the secure advancement of chess in the digital space and its expansion into online tournaments. It's the perfect combination of human excellence and strong technology.
Yeah, I mean that was another very exciting day of chess. I mean we got pretty much everything. We got our Armageddon, which we like.
Yeah.
We got a brilliant player going through to the final, and Bibisara. She's going to be, well, she's already incredible, but she's so young. I mean she could be. I wonder how she's going to go on against the other players in the grand final. It'll be fascinating.
I
to see.
can't wait to see that. And well, there is first of all going to be a big match between Gunay Mammadzada and Humpy Koneru to establish who will be the one challenging Bibisara Assaubayeva in the finals. Remember, Bibisara, with that victory over Gunay, has now secured herself a spot into September's grand final.
Yeah, and I love the way she sacrificed that piece. That was just too cool for school.
Yeah.
Definitely. I love sacrifices. So we've had a lot of fun, and there's only one day to go. So if you don't tune in tomorrow, you're crazy. That's all I can say. I think we're going to enjoy watching a little bit of the Eurovision Song Contest later on, which you might enjoy as well. But it's been a marvelous day.
It certainly has, old chap. But anyway, we'll see you tomorrow, same time, same place.